Tanya Roberts, manager of the Training and Behaviour Department, and I've been at the shelter for 17 years. And my story today is about Jeeves. And I picked Jeeves because he represents kind of a typical rescue story, kind of an average size. And it helps to understand what we do, taking the animals from the rescue situation through all the rehabilitation process and into the rehoming scenario. So Jeeves represents animals such as these, the wrinklies, the shy, and animals like this come to the Oregon Humane Society in ones and twos. They come in 20 to 30, they come in hundreds, and they come in many different species. And somebody said to me, gosh, how many animals have you actually worked with yourself since you've been at the Humane Society that have come from situations like this? And so I started to count, and I kind of lost count at about 1,000. So I asked our investigations department, and they told me over 10,000 animals. And that's incredible. Obviously, it's incredible to each and every animal, but it's also incredible because there are teachers. I have learned so much over the years working with these animals. They're the best teachers I could ever have wished for. And I feel like going forward, there's going to be a lot of other situations that need our help, animals that need our help. And we really want to be ready for them, and we want to continue to do a bigger, better job as we go forward. So we got a call, our investigations team got called out to this home. There was a complaint that somebody thought there might be a lot of animals inside this place, but they'd never actually seen any. They never came outside. So when our team arrived, we went indoors and we found Jeeves and 20 of his friends forced to live and breathe entirely in this. And believe me when I say that that's not just dirt on the floor. So we went in, obviously very nicely clad, because when we approached this house and went inside, the animals just scattered away from us. Now, Tanya, I hear you ask, you look kind of scary in these bizarre outfits, especially the red boots here. And of course, pets are going to be scared of you. But I love this slide because it really represents how we look to animals that have never actually been around normal human beings. So to them, we look like that. We look like aliens from a different planet. So they were very, very scared of us. Jeeves happened to be the very last dog found, and he was hiding underneath a bed, of which one of our team members crawled underneath and safely got him out. And how did Jeeves repay him? He bit him. Because again, he was very, very scared. But we safely got all the animals out and safely into kennels and onto the journey to Oregon Humane Society. And so a lot of people at that point feel great. They're good to go from there. And actually that's not the case, because when normal animals come to the shelter, and when I say normal, I mean well socialized from puppies. They look at people as people that take them for walks and feed them and are kind to them. Jeeves's buddies had no idea what that meant. So a normal dog in our shelter will look like this. They'll look a nice smile, very soft eyes, gentle ears, and the main thing is this wagging tail. They come up to the front of the kennel and greet people. Hi, you're going to take me for a walk? Hi, you're going to give me a treat? They're very hopeful. And dogs like this in our shelter tend to stay from a few hours, maximum to about 7 days, and then they're in their new home. When Jeeves and his buddies arrived, this is how they viewed our shelter. They were frightened of people. They didn't know where they were. It must have felt like they'd landed on a different planet. And it's hard for us to see that because look how wonderful our shelter is and what a great job we do. But these guys need a special place. They need something a little more nurturing so that we can bring them along and desensitize them to what we would consider normal behavior. So this is Jeeves when I first brought him into my office to try and get to know him a little bit. It took me quite a while to get him from his kennel because he was extremely scared and trying to get away from me. And this is what he did in my office. He just froze to the spot, like he'd been Velcroed to the ground, and he just moved his head and eyes. And so that's not what a normal dog would do if you brought them into your office. They'd be like, hey, how's it going? Very, very happy. So I ended up having, after he was spayed and neutered, I'll just give you an inside little tip here. After spaying and neutering, he was wearing this little Elizabethan collar, and in the behavior field, we call that a bite shield, because I was able to put a body harness on him and attach a leash to it, so he could start to get used to wearing things that a normal dog would wear in a home to go for a walk. Every night, I would take him back to his kennel. And he and his friends were inside this environment. There's no natural light. The kennels are very, very tiny. And it's just a stepping stone for your normal dogs to spend a few hours here until we get time to screen them and get them adopted, put them on the adoption floor. So this is meant to be very, very a quick stay. And Jeeves and his friends, and most of the rescue animals, do end up staying at the shelter for months. So this is not the environment we really want for them. But having gotten him out of that kennel environment and bringing him into my office on a daily basis, he started to improve. And by improve, I mean he wouldn't scatter away every time I came back to my desk. I'd walk into my office the first few times and he'd be under the desk, never saw him. And then after that, he slowly started to get a little bit more adventurous, like, well, she's not done anything horrible to me up to this point. Maybe I'll stay out and be brave. And of course, the whole time I'm giving him treats and I'm talking baby talk to him. And I'm like, you will love me at some point. I know you will. And so we kept doing that over and over and over, because every night I'd put him back in his kennel and I think he would take a few steps backwards because of that environment. But then one day the miracle happened where I came into my office, and not only did he not run away from me or just stand in the corner, he came running up to me, and I don't know if you can tell by that photograph, but he's going woo, and his tail's wagging. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how amazing that feels when they do that to you. I'm like, finally, he went from hopeless to hopeful with that wag of a tail, and he never looked back after that point. So we're continuing to have to teach him. So I've got a harness on him and a leash, but he doesn't know how to walk on a leash. He'll hit the end of it. I don't know if any of you have ever seen a cat try and walk on a harness and leash. It looked a little bit like that. And so we had to continue to work with him. And one of the techniques we use is to engage the help of a friendly, socialized dog, so that they can kind of become buddies and say to the dog that's come from the rescue setting, this is normal, you don't have to be frightened of these situations. And I want you to watch the helper dog stand his ground as the dog approaches, and then I want you to see what Jeeves does.
They both might compete you. Yeah, they're going to run to you and Kayla's going to be like, I'm running to them.
There's little Obi, the helper dog. And they're both walking on leashes, so that's a huge improvement right there. And Obi stays right there. Watch Jeeves. He's like, if you can do it, I can do it. Oh my God. So a helper dog really encourages them. I mean, we do an awful lot as humans, but it's really great to have a helper dog. So that's one thing that we try and do as well. So this is Jeeves now in his new home with his two sisters, with a clean carpet and some agility equipment, because he's actually quite good at doing agility, because that helps build confidence too. And to me, it's so wonderful to be able to share these stories, because you have seen where he came from and have heard that he bit people and how frightened he was. And now you can understand that it is possible to take these pets and turn them into happy, relaxed dogs that do well in a home environment. The key for us, though, is we want to be able to take them from here to here as quickly as possible, not just because of the fact that financially it's sustainable. If we get them into homes faster, we can help more animals that way, but for their own stress reduction. If we can make that journey faster, then we're really good to go. The only thing is they only have one office. So here's another couple of dogs in my office. That's the helper dog, and the puppy, actually, the younger dog, was the one that was terrified. But having one office is not really helpful when we get a lot of dogs or other animals that come into the shelter, cats as well. So what we're hoping to do is to be able to create that environment where they can desensitize slowly. It's a quieter environment. They're not dealing with the hustle and bustle of the shelter every day. They're not dealing with all the cleaning equipment and people coming in and out. They have special staff that work with them and volunteers that work with them that know how to help them along. And their progress happens so much more quickly if we do that. So I know if these animals were going to ask for something, they would ask, can we have our very own specially made rescue centre, please? And on behalf of Jeeves and all the animals that are going to be coming to us in the future, I would like to thank you for being their voice. Thank you.